Welcome to another episode of Screw the Cloud. My name is Steve Stanulis. I want to thank all listeners for making us a top 10 podcast, both on Spotify and Apple. And it's not because of me, even though I always like to think that I said it every fucking episode, but I think it has a lot to do with our guests. And we have yet another amazing guest today. And before we bring her on, I want to talk about her just a little bit. Just a little bit. We're going to give her a little kudos. So today's guest built a platform of over almost 250,000 followers. She's an author, an activist, a public speaker, and communications expert. Now, I don't even know what communication experts means, but we'll get into that as well, Hope. But what I'm interested in most isn't the highlight reel. I want to know what exactly and actually costs to build a personal brand in today's world. And that's why we are talking with Hope today. We have Hope Giselle Godse. Godse, correct?
Godsey, yeah. I love
Yahtzee,
it.
Yahtzee. I know I was close. It's instead of Yahtzee, it's Godsey. How are you today? That
I am so good. Thank you for having me, Steve.
No, thank you for coming out. Where are you calling in from, Hope? What part of the country are you in?
Oh, I'm on the West Coast this week. I'm in California
Oh, this week. All right, very good.
this
So
week.
you're 2 hours behind. So I even thank you more because I think it's probably about what 11. That's not too bad. Not too
Just
bad.
about, yeah. Just about. It's all good.
Good, good, good. So how's the weather? Is it crazy over there? Is it hot, or is it?
Oh no, it feels so good. I literally went to the beach yesterday and just laid out. It feels so good here right now.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. Where are you? Do y'all not have any
I am out.
sun?
Actually, I am in New York, New Jersey area.
Ah,
And
oh,
you
I'll
know
be
what?
there. I'll be there soon. I'm actually hosting Harlem Pride in just a little
Oh,
bit.
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So here the weather just started getting nice. It's like really, now it's hot. Like it's like 90 and humid. And you know what? I'll
Yeah.
take it. I
Yeah,
will
that
take
Knicks
it.
win. That Knicks win brought
Yeah.
the
And that,
heat
and
with
that
it.
next win has brought even more fire to the city. Some fire more than I'd like, but yes, some amazing fire. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, again, I don't know if it's really the quote unquote Nick fans that are lighting shit on fire. I think it's
he's
maybe some
right.
opportunists, but that's for another day. So,
Yeah.
so much stuff I want to talk to you about today, and you're right. You're perfect. If I have a dictionary of what Screw the Cloud is,
Yeah.
you kind of fit the whole criteria. So I'm so interested in a lot of things, and I'm going to try to hit everything as I can. So.
Yeah.
What were you doing before anyone knew about Hope? What were you doing prior?
Makeup. I had my whole little life planned out. I thought I was gonna go and be a MAC makeup artist, and I was gonna work my way up to becoming like a global ambassador or a global
Right.
artist. And I thought I was gonna be like a Sam Fine or a Sir John or a Danessa Myricks or something like that. I had no real aspiration to do activism or public speaking or talking or any of that.
So when did you really get into that and focus on it? And when did you realize this might even become like, wow, this might become a thing? What was that
You know,
moment and when did you change?
So I think that there were two moments. One was the moment that I realized that people gave a shit about what the fuck I had to say, right? And that
Which,
happened. That happened after gay marriage was legalized. I believe that was like
okay.
2013, 2015 or so. And this was back when Facebook was only showing you people that you were friends with, and so there was no algorithm. You were only,
Right.
shown the people that you knew. And
Mhm.
my timeline became the most homomistic place I had ever seen in my life. It was just all of these people that were so distraught about the fact that gay people could get married all of a sudden. And these were also people that like claimed to love me. So obviously I was frustrated, I was upset. And I made a 45-minute long video just like discussing my feelings about all of this. And this was
Mhm.
before going viral was truly a thing. And I took a nap after I made that video and I woke up to like 200,000 views. And that was just
Wow.
unheard of organically at the time. And I
Sure.
decided that I was going to continue to keep doing it. And
Right.
eventually I moved because this happened when I was in college. And so I
Mhm.
moved to Texas, which is where I started my makeup career. I was the manager of a Mac store. It was a whole thing. And the guy that I was dating at the time, him and I were just having all of these conversations about how I was unhappy and like for whatever reason, like I wasn't spending extra money, but like I couldn't seem to keep money in my account. There were just everything was just anything that could go wrong was going wrong. And I remember he had moved to LA and he was like, babe, come to LA, get on your feet. I don't think that you should be doing that anymore. Let's figure out how you can find your voice. And so literally I moved to LA, did the aspiring thing for a while, and then found my
Mhm.
activist people. And once I did that, I was able to move to Alabama for a short stint and found my way to DC. And obviously, DC is the home of the work. So that's kind of how I fell into everything.
Well, I mean, well, if you don't mind me asking, why so much travel? Well, how come you're like bam, bam, bam?
I'm nomadic and I'm a person like I don't like now that I'm a wife that's changed a little bit, but I
Right. Well,
love
yeah.
being able to just go where life is calling me. I think that
Mhm.
the beauty of not having, or at least at that point in my life, not having to answer to anybody was that I
Right.
could answer whatever call felt good for me. And I always just
Sure.
wanted to see the world. I grew up in Miami. None of my family has ever really traveled. You know,
Mhm.
my mom is just now, getting to Houston. And I just didn't want to
Right.
be that way. So I think that for me, it was also about if I had the opportunity to see the world, and especially if I had the opportunity to do it on someone else's dime, I was gonna go.
That's amazing. No, that's great. Like I said, again, when you're like that, sometimes that's the most successful thing because like I said, again, I was a police officer, I was this, I was that, and everything, but
Hmm.
uh, I was already a police officer for X amount of time, and then I got injured, whatever. But I was already tricked, into the
Oh.
film business and the film world, right? So,
Mhm.
I always was like, oh, I'm going to go to LA. I'm going to go to LA. And luckily, things took place without going to LA first. But I was always so impressed with friends that got the fuck up and just
Yeah.
went. No, didn't know a person, didn't know what
No.
they were doing, didn't have a plan, but they wanted to become an actor. They wanted to follow their dreams, and they just got up and they went. And I was like, wow. You know what I mean? Maybe
Yeah.
they want it more than I do. Maybe that could have been, it couldn't have been, but luckily it worked out. And I go there a lot, but they're still there. So I commend them. So, and I commend you because, I don't know if I could do that. I don't know. So that's
Really?
amazing.
I love that, but I really wish that everybody, at least once
Hmm.
in life, I feel like everybody should have like a step out on faith moment. I think I would love to have done it with a partner. Like most people feel like you have to be unpartnered, kind of sort of single, no kids. I honestly think I would have preferred my step out on faith moment with my husband because he's such the things that I lack or the things that I miss or that are oversight, he always catches them. And so I could
Hmm.
imagine how much better life would have probably been if I would have met him sooner when I was having those moments of moving across, because I think he would have been able to help me capitalize on those moments even more.
But you know what? Hope the whole reason for Screw the Clout. I mean, sometimes people misunderstand what Screw the Clout is, right? And the reason why Screw the Clout was even created was
Hmm.
you're going down a journey, right? And then you get to this fork in the road, and you could have went left, and you
Yeah.
could have stayed and stayed right, and you went whether it was
Yeah.
meant for you to do it alone. It was meant not to sound Tony Robbins, but it was meant for you, right? To do what you had to do, and everything worked out the way it did because you were alone, right?
Yeah.
So no regrets there because again, you're here because
True.
that's what you did. So kudos. So now activism, right? So activism, is a very opinionated
Mhm.
space, right? I mean, 100% you're going to say stuff that people don't agree with all the time,
Absolutely.
right? So because you're not in the cooking sector or the fitness sector, or you're in a sector that's, controversial and almost in a
Yeah.
way, because definitely you're going to talk about shit
Yeah.
that somebody might agree with. So the reason why I'm saying that is when you're in a visibility, when you have that visibility and in that activism space, you've had to have and take a lot of criticism.
All the time.
You
All the
have to.
time. There, everybody has an idea about what they think activism looks like, what they think the
Hmm.
best way to address a circumstance or a situation is. And for me, what I've had to learn is that you're not going to make everybody happy. And the best way to be okay when you don't make everybody happy is to only talk about the shit that you're passionate about. I don't get online. I don't accept keynotes. I don't do panels if I don't give a shit about the subject matter. And also, that's important because in order to be an activist, in order to be an advocate, you have to be well researched, you have to be well learned. And so for me, it's just kind of like once I set myself up to understand that I knew what the fuck I was talking about because I've done my research and I was
Right.
passionate about what I was discussing, which is why I did my research. There was not a single negative comment that was going to throw me or hurt my feelings too badly because I mean I've dealt with this shit my entire life. So a couple of trolls online that I'm never gonna see in my lifetime, fuck you.
No, I agree. Now, let me ask you a question because I've seen some of your stuff, right?
Mhm.
And a couple of the things. It looks now. What is your process? Do you hear something sometimes right away and just fucking go on in a moment, and because you're so passionate, right then and there, or do you take a breath, do some research, and then come on? Because if it was
I
me, I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you. My
go ahead.
apologies. If I was in that space, again, we all have opinions, right? We're all
Mhm.
opinionated, right? And I'll just take something stupid. We'll just use as like the Knicks. We'll say I'm the Knicks lover,
Oh,
right? So if you would have gotten me on at halftime, right, when the Knicks in Game 4 were down by whatever, I would have been on, and I would have been, I can't fucking. Here we go again, blah blah. Blah. So that's when you're going to get me the most passionate, right? So
right.
when Hope hears something on the news or what have you, do you wait for all the facts? Do you just go? What works for you? What's your process?
Baby Hope used to just go. You know,
That's what I figured.
Baby Hope used to be like 1 minute into the news feed. It was posted a minute ago. Hope is on it 30 seconds after that minute, right?
Right.
Um, this version of me knows better. And so I tend to let things breathe for a couple of days sometimes,
Oh, okay.
because I just want to see what everybody is going to say. And also sometimes the story will break at 9 a.m. that morning, and then
Right.
by 10 o'clock that night, there have
It's
been
totally
so
different.
many. It is completely different from what we heard at 9 a.m. And I've
Right.
learned that when you are the person that people are coming to for news, you're responsible for making sure you give them the most comprehensive breakdown. And also for me, because I'm not an influencer, like I'm a person with influence, but I am not an influencer. So my
Right.
goal isn't to come at you to get my engagement up with 50,000 videos about the same topic and keep doing the so remember this morning when I talked about so and so? Well, actually, like, and I see, like, and that's cool. But I want to come
Well, then you
give,
then you would be then you'd be CNN if you did
yeah,
that.
like, and I don't get paid enough. You know, like social media does not pay me enough to be giving you all
Right. Right.
play by
Right.
play updates. So I
Right.
tend to wait a little bit. I give
Right.
one, bare synopsis. And if there is a need to come back, like meaning like something really major, like changed after
Mm.
maybe a week goes by, somebody gets arrested. If I'm covering something like that, I'll come back and I'll cover that. But trying to cover the same story all day is just not my jam.
Gotcha. No, it makes sense. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. So again, because it's controversial, right? Have you ever had an opportunity that you lost, A, or has
Mhm.
anybody ever came to Hope to maybe talk about collaborating on a project, or hey, you want to do this perfume, whatever, and
Yeah.
backed away because of something you said?
Most of the time people don't come to me and then back away. I think that my brand is very, like you said, you've gone through some of my stuff. And so it's very clear from the jump, like exactly who I
Right.
am, what I stand for, and how I'm going to move. And so what I find is that most of the times I hear about later, like through the grapevine with friends and things, once I get to events like, oh, just so you know, I love you. And like people will snitch on their people. So they'll be like, oh, we were looking at you for this, but that video that you made about so and so. And
Right.
so people just kind of tend to, I find out through the grapevine later that I missed opportunities, but I've never really been offered an opportunity, then it had it snatched. If anything, I remember because the NDA has expired now, but I worked with Toyota and I
Mm.
had the worst time working with Toyota. I mean, they wanted reshoot after reshoot after reshoot. And I was like, I'm not even talking about cars. This is for mental health and something on the back end that Toyota just happens to be funding. And you all have no idea what this is about. And yet you're making me do all of these reshoots. And I finally just said, do you want your deposit back? Because as a person who does this on a regular basis, I'm not going to keep having a car company try to tell me how to speak on mental health when this is literally one of the things that I have gotten like a degree in, that I'm working towards getting more certifications and things in. And
Right.
Toyota actually was just like, you know what? You're right. And we're sorry, right? And mind you, that I've never been called by Toyota again, but it is to say that most of the time people will pretend that they either respect it and then just not work with you again because they understand that you are who you are online outside of it. Or
Hmm.
sometimes, but it's never happened to me where I've had somebody drop me because of my stances. No.
No, and again, like I said, it's so again, and no pun intended right now. It's so black and
Mhm.
white
Yeah.
where you are who you are. Nobody can misunderstand hope. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
No.
I wouldn't think personally that someone's going to come to you and say, "Hey, I
Yeah.
got this collab I want you to do and press my product," and then you say one thing and be like, "Well, wait a minute. Whoa,
Right.
now I can't work with you because you
Right.
are, you're kind of your brand is what you are.
Yes.
I'm trying to. Does that make sense? So when I asked you the question, that's why I kind of would have been surprised if you said, "Yeah, some people have stepped away," because again, you already are who you. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not. It's cut and dry.
It's it's very clear here. It's very
Very
clear.
clear. Very clear. So, what would you say is the biggest misconception about you then? Like,
That
what would
I'm a
I be
bully.
looking at Cope? And again, I'm so sorry. I don't mean to cut you out at all.
No, you're fine.
Um, the other day, like I said, I was researching you, right? And obviously, I looked over your stuff, and now, well, as everybody else would, right? If you looked at me on my page,
I
you'd probably
did.
have right. So you would have oh, this is who he is type of thing in your head. So me looking at your page, what would you say would be my biggest misconception about you?
That I'm always mad. I think because I can't say that, I have, because I'm me, so I unconscious bias is already kicked in, right? But the things
Mhm.
that I hear all the time are that, like you're always upset about something, or I've heard people say that I'm a bully. Uh, and I just think that those are misconceptions. I think that especially right now in a world where we have so much to be fucking upset about and people are not really having the conversations that need to be had. Everybody is trying to get their engagement up. Everybody is trying to say the thing that needs to be said for the corporate donors to book them for whatever. I am trying to mirror what I'm hearing in the conversations that we have when the cameras are off. Right? What are people saying when they're not thinking about their title at their job? Or when they're not thinking about that next door neighbor that they want to use for their boat this summer, or what they would say if their kids' friends weren't around because they're not sure how their parents think, right? Those are the conversations that I want to have. And typically those conversations require a certain level of passion and emotion. And as a person who is a triple minority in a lot of spaces, I am pissed the fuck off. And I don't want to have to come to my social media and, speak like this in order to be received as somebody who should be listened to because I'm a docile woman who you should be able to listen to because I'm not raising my voice versus over a certain octave. I think that one, that's misogynistic as fuck, that women are expected to come and share emotion without any sort of animation because men can do it all the time. And it's like, yes, that's what's upping. But if a woman does it, I'm either a bitch, I'm too emotional, or I'm always angry. And I think that while those are things that might be misconceptions, it's just not true. I'm happy plenty. I just think that when it comes to certain issues and matters of human rights, civil rights, women, LGBTQIA plus people, anybody who is on the margins and does not have a voice, I'm not going to come at you docile because those people can't afford docility in this moment. We have to be able to say the thing and leave it on the floor. And you either resonate and you're going to change behavior, or you're going to say fuck me and block me, and that's okay too.
Well, that's a great answer. Well, like I said, I'm not going to lie. I was a little afraid to do this podcast with you. I was like, no, I'm kidding. No, I was not. I absolutely was not. I totally was. I'm kidding. I want to see what you were going to say. So let's go back a little bit to the whole, obviously, you said something interesting before. You're not really an influencer per se, but you are. Again, you are, right? So I want to take your brain for everybody that's listening, because we
Mhm.
ask all the big influencers. I've had people that have 4 million TikTok, this, all that stuff,
Yes.
in all different spaces. So when somebody that's listening, it wants to start something and is passionate, but they don't know what or where or how to begin, right? And they don't have one follower, right? What would you say if somebody, that person listening, was going to start today in any space? Um, what would you say the biggest mistake that
Mm.
creators starting make? Well, what's the biggest one? Because a lot of people say the same thing.
Mhm.
What's Hope's biggest mistake? Not your mistake.
Don't
What would you
follow,
say is the biggest?
don't follow the trend. Everybody, there's always a trend going on no matter what your niche is, whether it's beauty, whether it's activism, whether it's public speaking, whether it's political. Everybody likes to jump into their niche and they follow the trend that everybody else is following. The thing that I've never done is speak about what everybody else is speaking about when they're speaking about it. I'm either going to start the trend or I'm going to finish with my own thoughts about everybody else's thing. But I don't like to ride that because then you become instant competition to people who have already outworked you on that trend. Where I like to start is, again, where you are passionate and meeting people at your passion and typically a point that nobody has brought up. So even if you're going to jump into a conversation that is trendy, talk about the thing that is not trending. I think that that is the biggest mistake that everybody makes because you just become a new person with no followers in the sea of the hashtag. Whereas if you jump into the conversation with nuance, so for instance, right now, everyone is talking about the Knicks. And if I were a person who were interested in sports, I want to start my sports persona. I have no followers, but today is the day. And this Knicks issue is the thing that I'm going to bring to the forefront. I honestly believe that where I would start is where you started. It was a great point. It's just like shit's on fire down there. But I don't know if the Knicks and the Knicks fans are the people that are actually doing it. Let's talk, right? This pulls
Right.
people in because now you get the chance to talk about your sports analysis and how you feel about the game while also navigating this cultural conversation that's happening. And so sports fans are like, oh, this person knows what they're talking about. And people who are into the cultural pop culture moment of it are also like, ooh, I didn't think about it like that. And that's your way
Right.
in is, riding the trend, but not doing so in the way that everybody else is.
That's smart. No, like I said, because absolutely. And we had a little brief conversation before we got online. That, like I
Yeah.
said, I think most people. No, I'd say most. No, let me cut that back. I would say 25% of people that are there. This is my
Mhm.
opinion. This is not coming from that are there. They couldn't give you the names of three Knicks players, let alone being a Knicks fan, but because they want to be there for, I don't want to say
The
just
chaos.
opportunists, a little percentage of
Uh-huh.
opportunity.
Hmm.
Two, that it's a place to be. They want
Yeah.
to, they want to go and they want to get likes. They want people to watch your shit. They want to, that, like, chase clout. Hey, I
Yeah.
was here. Blah, blah. See, I'm still old school a little bit. I'm a little older. Like, I went to a Knick game, but I wasn't videoing myself. That's just not me. But
Yeah.
again, a little more older school, but whatever it is. But, because I don't like when people say, the Knicks fans are crazy and the Knicks fans are beating up people with San Antonio jersey. No, they're not. There's people that are there to look for trouble. Hey,
Yeah.
they're lighting fire. Why, I mean, why the fuck would you light a bus
Why
on
the
fire?
fire? Right. Like,
Right? Why?
why?
Why? I've never been so I've never said, wow, I am so happy today because X happened. Let me go fucking loot a store. Let me light some shit on fire. No, I just want to have a good time. Like, I want to bring I have
Mhm.
younger kids. I want to bring them to the parade. But part of me is like, should I really bring them? Because I don't even know what's going to happen. You know what
Right.
I mean? And that's the shitty part of it. But it's not the Knick fans. It's the other small percentage of people that just want to
Hmm.
be at that where it is to be the place to be,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely. And even that to me is more interesting than the conversation that everybody else is having. So if you
Right.
are a sports person and you're listening to this right now, you can steal this idea if it comes out soon enough. But yeah, I think that
Or
that's where I would start.
or you could go against the grain and probably do a Brooklyn Nets podcast who nobody
Oh
gives
my
a fuck
God.
about, and then you'll
Nobody.
be ahead of the game because you'll probably be a small fish in a small pond, right? Because nobody talks about them. So you go against the grain and start a Nets podcast. That's just my idea for the day. But
You know that you are silly because that actually might take off. That might take
yeah,
off.
that's what
That
I'm
might be
saying,
like
right?
that
That's
might be
that's the
something.
entrepreneur. That's my entrepreneur thing of the day.
Touche.
Do that, right? I know it sucks. You don't like them, but maybe you get a little cliche. Um, so getting back to you, forget about my entrepreneurial ideas. Um, um, and what you said was the biggest mistake is one of the other biggest number one answer if this was Family Feud that most bigger influencers say is don't be all over the place on your page.
Oh
Pick
yeah.
your niche, and that's all you post. Don't be like all over.
But I don't subscribe to that one because I have several things that I am known for, and I
Right.
love that because I think that if you're not a multi-hyphenate, then yeah, absolutely that's what you do. You find your niche and you ride that niche. But as human beings, we have so many things that we are good at, and I hate when people say things like, a jack of all trades is a master of none. But I don't
No,
need to truly master every single thing that I'm good at. I think that being able to showcase that I have interest in some of these things turn into a masterful practice of them. And so for me, I never will tell a person to like pigeonhole yourself. Do the things that feel right when they feel right. There are going to be some days you're going to get on my page and I'm going to be at the beach showing off an outfit or on a red carpet, just posting pictures. Some days you're going to get on there and the content is going to be political. Some days you're going to get on there and it's going to be advocacy based. Some days it's going to be mental health. And I think that my followers have come to recognize that there's a place for their entire humanity on my
there
space.
you go.
And I never want people to feel like, oh, well, I'm feeling sad today. I don't want to go on Hope's page because all she does is talk about, super positive things. And today I just kind of need to pick me up, right? People go on my page because they never know what they're going to see. And so I think that if you know you're a person that can't handle the all over, then don't do it, right? Because there still has to be organized chaos there. But if you're a person who does a couple of different things well, I don't see a reason why, because you're not a single or a one-dimensional person, and so neither are your followers. And trust that.
Listen, I agree with you because if you but you look at my page, it's the same exact way. It's all over the place. But
Yeah,
like I said, like him or not, is Elon Musk a jack of all trades, master of none, or does he get to 100 different things and he's the richest man in the world right now, right? He just became a trillionaire. He just doesn't stick with one thing, right? So,
yeah.
maybe he might not be a bad person to fight, to, to
That's
say,
a
well,
that's a
maybe,
that's a that is a flaw in the system. None of us should be trillion fucking heirs. Like that's a
yeah, well,
complete flaw in the
well,
system.
that's another whole dialogue you and I
Yeah,
can have. But what I'm trying, my point with that is, he's now a one-dimensional, I do one thing guy. Nor is a
yeah.
lot of high billionaire, whatever. They get into
None
a
of
lot
them.
of different things. So you say jack of all trades, like not you, but people say that.
Hmm.
I say you're an entrepreneur. I say you
Absolutely.
are growing and continuing to look for different streams of things that go with you. So you
Absolutely.
and I are like-minded with that.
Yeah.
Maybe another time I'll debate you about Elon Musk, but
The
that's another
trillionaire.
day.
Yeah.
Hey, I bought some SpaceX, so listen. I would be remiss if I started going against him right now because I'm making a little coin from SpaceX.
Yeah.
Anyhow, moving on. What is something popular you completely disagree with other than trillionaires?
Um, damn. I d- d- I can't think of anything off the spot. Is there something that you like? What do people usually say? Like, what's a comment? Because I can't think of
No, I gotta
anything.
be honest with you. This question is something I never asked of anybody. It's
You
from what I
know,
got from you because I knew you would
I
speak your mind if there was
I
one.
just, I think that that's the thing. Like, I can't think of anything right now that's like ridiculously popular that I'm like, I can't. I think the only thing I guess this will be the answer that I have, but I still don't listen to R. Kelly. No abusers on my feed. And I
R.
think that,
Kelly. We're gonna go to R.
yeah,
Kelly.
I still don't
Wow.
listen to R. Kelly. I don't believe in abusers at my party. If I'm somewhere and they play Nicki and they play R. Kelly or they play P. Diddy, like I'm immediately booing the DJ. And if the DJ doesn't like get it, then I leave the party. And so, maybe that's me, but I'm not at the space where I can completely like separate the art from the artist, especially when you cause so much harm to women. So yeah.
You wanted something funny that you would
Hmm.
appreciate? But it wasn't that yet. So I was with the DiCaprio, right? Like in '99,
Hmm.
2000, and I went to a Diddy party, right? And
Ooh.
okay, it wasn't a freak off at that point in time, but I was still
All right,
I was
Steve.
still I was still a cop, right?
Okay.
And which was funny, right? So I had walked in with the Leo and all, and he was there. So again, so it was a picture. There's a wild party like outside, a white party by the
Hmm.
pool, right? Some people top, whatever, a little crazy, nothing
Yeah.
like oh my god. But again, when I was a cop, when I wasn't a cop, I wasn't a cop. I mean, if I'm not
Right.
working, live and let live, right? So it was funny because I went in to the next, I guess the next level, and
Hmm.
he was cordial, and again, I could see him ask everybody, who I was. So
Uh-huh.
as soon as he found out I was a cop, he was like, they came over to me. They said, you're good. You don't have to hang. You can leave. And I'm like, oh, okay, all right. So I hung out by the pool. I had a great time, but yes, that was my only encounter with P Diddy. But yes, I can honestly say I was at a Diddy party, but I wasn't freak off level yet.
At
Well, maybe
the
it was,
maybe it
maybe it
was.
was,
I was gonna
but I just
say.
had no idea. I was dope outside by the pool. But yes, so it's funny you say that because yeah, I know a lot of crazy stories about him, and they're all true. That's what I'll say
See.
about him. So you're not wrong booing the DJ. That's all I'll
Yeah.
say with that. But what's the one thing people do for attention that drives you crazy?
Oh, the fake tears and the fake apologies. I recently, James Charles, he consistently puts his foot in his mouth and tries to put his body parts in underage boys, and that drives me crazy enough. But it's the wave of the influencer fuck up to tearful fake apology pipeline that bothers my fucking soul. If you are not remorseful, if you know you're going to get off because you're some privileged white kid with all of these followers and money, like don't even bother with the bullshit apology. Just let the shit blow over and go away. Like save me the fake fucking smoke. And I think that there are so many of these influencers and people that will like hop on the internet to cry away whatever scandal they've done. And I just think like that is bullshit to me, especially if you don't care. There are people on the internet who are genuinely literally crying out because they can't feed their family or they've been disenfranchised or they have like real deal shit that they like are going through, and you have somebody who is an influencer crying because they called somebody a racial slur and got roasted for it, and now y'all are running these videos up, but there's a mother who is literally crying because Doge, ruined her fucking life, and not a single view on that. But we were hyper focused on these things. And I'm just I really wish that people who don't give a fuck about the harm that they are causing would stop with the fake tearful apologies. I'm so over it.
Very good. Very passionate. I love it. What's the one lesson people only learn the hard way?
Fucking around and finding out. I think that no matter what you fuck around with, when people find out, it's always a hard lesson learned. I don't ever think that one of those moments is an easy learn. I think that people, especially particularly in this climate, you find out the hard way that racism only plays out well in the public eye. it doesn't typically do too well when you're just naturally at a Walmart or a gas station trying to be racist against, five Mexican people when when this is the neighborhood Mexican, gas station, you find out that that doesn't work well if you were on the south side of Compton or in predominantly Black neighborhoods. Those things never work well for people. And it's always those fuck around and find out moments that I think people always have to learn the hard way, that what you see on the internet and some of the things that the media is purporting it to be, it's not as sweet as you think it is. So please don't fuck around and find out. But they always do. And typically we don't see them again because they don't pull that shit anymore. But they always find out the hard way. And I'm glad for it in a way, but I also hate that we're even having to have those conversations.
Very good. Huh? So we're up for the lightning round. Are you ready?
Mhm. Let's do it.
Are you ready? No thinking. First thing that comes to mind.
Okay.
And they're not crazy. So I think you'll do fine.
Okay.
Trust me. I know you're going to do fine. Trust me. Um, Fame or freedom?
Freedom.
Money or influence?
Money.
Instagram or TikTok?
Instagram.
One book everyone should read.
Ooh, I am not your Negro, James Baldwin.
Hold on one second. Say that, what was that book one more time? I didn't hear what you said. I got a little.
Yeah, not your Negro, James Baldwin. It's
I'm not you. Okay. Oh no, I
yeah.
heard. You glitch for some reason. You glitch in the middle of Negro. I was like, what? I was like, huh? Okay. One thing you tell your 25-year-old self. What's the one thing you would tell your 25-year-old self that you now
Do it,
know that?
do it scared. Do it scared.
What's something you're still trying to figure out?
How to travel for free.
How to travel,
But
right?
how to travel for free. But to be perfectly honest, I'm really trying to figure out the best way to really bring together all of the parts of me that exists into one space. Trying to really figure out how not to feel like I have to covet certain parts of me. I think that there's a beauty in age that I don't have yet.
Mhm.
And the way that older people are kind of just like, this is who I am and this is how I show up. Younger people will say those things, but we do acquiesce to the moment. Whereas I find that like with age comes this less of a desire to acquiesce to anybody. It's either, you like Steve, this is how I come, or you don't like me, and either way it goes, I'm gonna be Steve. And I think I'm still trying to figure that out for myself.
Well, now how long you married? Oh,
We've been married for 2 years, but we've been together for like 9.
nine. And what is he? Is he in the same like field as you, or?
Not at all. My husband is a nerd. My babe he's a history nerd, but he's an aerospace medicine person. He's in the Navy.
Oh, that's awesome. So, like I said, so this is the last question I usually ask everybody, and this is a 50-50 answer. But again, you're very like-minded with me. See, do you think it's easier to have a partner that's doing the same exact thing as you, or have somebody totally opposite um, than you are, and what your likes are?
Ooh.
Not supporting you, but just different like I'll give you an
Oh,
example, right?
okay.
I'm in the film business. When I first was going to take my wife out, the first day we would go to a film premiere, right?
Right.
She could care less. You know what I mean? She's not into that. She don't. We do a red carpet or premiere. She doesn't really
Yeah.
want to be on the red carpet. She's just not from that. She doesn't like that world. She thinks it's
Right.
superficial. She don't like it, and she grounds me. So if I'm doing
Mhm.
something and I say, "Hey, babe, what do you think of this cut of a film, whatever?" She'll be like, "Oh, it's terrible." You
Mhm.
should, but
Mhm.
she's not
Yeah.
blowing smoke, right? So I think that's what makes us get along because it's opposites. So again, so I guess you might agree with me, no?
Yes and no. I
Okay,
think because for me it's a bit different. Like my husband is ridiculous. He's my number one fan, truly. But I think that if he were more into the weeds with me, like sometimes he'll do things with me, but I think if he were more in the weeds, he would understand things better. Like he would understand
right.
why I do certain things. But I love the
Mhm.
fact that he is not into what I'm doing because I think I couldn't imagine having a household where everything is content. Like every single move that we
Right.
make, every conversation is politically driven, every single thing becomes an activist. Like I could not imagine a life where I'm not learning. And also, I'm sure you probably feel this way about your wife, but I want to forever be learning from my partner. And if we're both doing the same
Absolutely.
things, we're learning
Right.
together. And so, but I want to be taught. Like I want to be able to teach him just like I want him to constantly be able to teach me. And so I love that we're different in that way. So I think it's a both
No,
and for
I totally agree. I agree. Like I said, um, again, I always say opposites attract, but
yeah.
I like the fact that we can go somewhere, and I know she likes certain things I might not like, or vice versa. Or I know if I said, "Hey, babe, I'm doing X today. I kind of can use some help." You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? If we're in a room doing that, and like in a half hour, I'm already getting mad because she has the way she does things is totally opposite of the
Hmm.
way I do things. So I don't even think she'd be able to work not for me, God forbid, but even with me,
With,
because
yeah.
it would be like this. You know what I mean? So, but again, I always get different answers with that. So that's again, there's no wrong or right. It's just I'm always
Yeah.
curious to see what everybody's opinion is. So um, before we let you go today, I went fast. Holy cow. How do our listeners, well, two things.
Hmm.
First of all, how do our listeners follow you? Um, if they want to reach out, if they want to
Absolutely.
DM you, whatever. I don't ever advise our listeners to DM someone,
Yeah.
but if they just,
Right.
but if they want to
Uh,
follow you, see what you're doing, how do they do that? Hope.
So my website is going to be the best place because you'll be able to follow me or go to all of my social media from there. So it's just hopegiselle.com. Hope is HOPE. Giselle is GISELLE.com. And you'll be able to see my upcoming events that I have coming. So if it's an open gig and you want to pop through and see me, that'll be there. Some of the events are closed, but it'll tell you what city I'm in. So if I'm in your city, and you are business minded, please no creepy men. I am going to post whatever weird message you send me all over the internet, and I'm going to tell
Yeah,
everybody no
no,
creepy
no,
woman.
we that luckily
So,
we've been doing this for 4 years, almost 4 years. I've never had a guest call me or reach out to me and
and
say,
say,
"Hey, there's some
yeah,
creepy man reaching out to
no
me."
creepy
So no
men.
creepy men for Hope. If anybody listening
But
is
yeah,
creepy, no creepy men.
no creepies. But yeah, so hopegiselle.com, but anywhere on social media, it's literally the same thing. It's usually my name. The only place that I could not get just my name was TikTok. So it's Hope Giselle 1 on TikTok. But everywhere else, you can just find me by looking up Hope Giselle.
Awesome. And then our last question of the day that we close out every one of our podcasts off Screw the Cloud
Mhm.
is if one of our listeners out there, no matter what they're into, whether they're an influencer, an actor, involved in the arts, involved in anything, they could be plumbers, whatever they want to do.
Mhm.
If they're at a crossroad, right, and they want to quit, or they're just like,
Mhm.
listen, I'm just never going to get to where I want to be. What would Hope's words of wisdom be? What advice would you give them?
Run your race. Run the race that was built for you. A lot of the time, we are going to get fatigued. We find ourselves in turmoil because we're so busy looking to the left and to the right of us. And there's a reason why a lot of racehorses will run those races with blinders on. And it's because the slightest distraction could make you trip up over yourself. And oftentimes, the reason why you're even in that space, the reason why you're feeling down, the reason why you're beating yourself up is because you're so busy trying to keep up with the competition and see how far they are that you stumble over your own feet and you fall. And now you're sitting there on the track wondering what else is left. And all you have to do is get up, put those blinders on, put your ass in gear, and run the race that was built for you, getting to the finish line at the time that you were meant to get to the finish line. Because I promise you that what is meant for you will not miss you as long as you run the race that is for you. And do so while trying not to be the only one or the most exclusive person because everything that is exclusive goes on sale at some point and you don't want to be left in the bargain bin because you were trying to keep up with everybody else.
Wow. I'll tell you
Yeah.
what. I'm going to tell you what. That might be the best fucking answer I've ever heard on that question. And every single one of my guests gets asked that same question. And they usually give me a generic Tony Robbins answer or Jack Canfield answer. And that was an amazing answer. That's really, really good. So kudos. I'm like, I'm really, yeah, I'm ready to go
I'm
fucking
done.
run through a wall right now. I'm, I might run through this fucking window right now if I hang. I might break this fake brick wall behind me
I
right now.
love
That's how
it.
fucking jacked I am. That was awesome. Awesome. So again, Hope, listen, I am super excited that we got to speak. I could have been, I wanted to ask you so much more stuff,
Yeah,
and again, I'd love to have you back.
I
And
would love to do that. Yeah.
kudos to everything you're doing. I respect it, and keep killing it because you are. And like I said, I'm gonna say to you right now, I'm gonna say everybody, this is to you and everybody listening. If you dream, dream out loud, and you're doing it. I'd like to thank everybody listening. If you're listening right now, please subscribe,
Yeah.
hit the like button, leave us a comment. You can follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, everywhere you get your podcast. And again, thank you for our sponsors at Believe for getting me amazing guests. Munib, having Hope, Giselle, Gotzi,
Yeah.
right? Did I
Yeah.
say it?
You
I
got you
just
got it
remember
right.
what you got. Gotzi. I had that thing in my whole head the whole time. Thank you so much for coming on. And again, everybody listening, if you dream, dream out loud. This is Steve Stanulis, Screw the Cloud. We'll see you next week.